Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It's Wednesday, November 12th, the epicenter of yet another very busy broadcast week. And of course, because it's Wednesday, that means we have our special live crossover show with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. That's coming up at the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We will be chatting about all of the health news of the day, and we will launch her show, of course, at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. It is On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, and she has some amazing guests with her today. Dr. Stephen Hatfield and Gray Delaney, two of the best medical freedom warriors that were put in place in the Trump White House and at HHS, both fired, let go, pushed out. She has the scoop with both of them today live on her show, Live with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. I cannot wait to see that interview. It is dividing MAGA. It is in some ways dividing the medical freedom community, and it is exposing within the bowels of HHS how corrupt some of their dealings are. And so we're going to be talking about that today. I cannot wait to watch that. Of course, we are thankful for our sponsors over at The Wellness Company. Because of them, we can bring you this show live every Wednesday on all of the SJ networks, on the Died Suddenly network, and also on Dr. Mary Talley Bowden's unbelievable, massive Twitter following, her X account. And we couldn't do it without The Wellness Company. So please make sure that you always use the MARY promo code when you are shopping at TWC. You'll be hearing about that a little bit more as we get into the show today. So we have Dr. Mary Talley Bowden coming up. Of course, we are live on Rumble. We're live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can imagine, on YouTube, on Substack. And of course, as I mentioned, our Died Suddenly collaboration. Thank you to TJ and Ed, who are making things happen in the production box today at the Shannon Joy Show. They are doing an absolutely great job. Thank you to our sponsors. You're going to hear from Rocketdollar today, the satellite phone store, and of course, Purge. I am on my 15-day. I finished my 15-day purge, and you're going to hear about that a little bit later. Again, we could not bring the show to you without our sponsors. So thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to all of you. I see you all on the live chat. We have Future Ez with us. CJP Rumble, Lupine has joined us today. And yes, CJP Rumble with the first comment of the chat today. Donald Trump is doing the exact opposite of what his voters expected, yet they still drink from his cup. And that is the headline of today's show. H1-B-Trayal, once again, another rug pull from Donald Trump right underneath the feet of his base. How many times does Trump have to punch MAGA in the face before they realize that he's just not that into them? Rug pull 237 from Trojan Trump. And this one, it is H1B style in the Oval Office with Laura Ingraham, the anchor from Fox News. Now, this comes right after yesterday, where Trump welcomed a jihadist and a former terrorist, probably still a terrorist, into the Oval Office. Fox News now running interviews with that fellow, normalizing the betrayals for their base. And the question is, when are they going to get it? I will tell you, there is growing rage, at least on social media, regarding one rug pull after another. And this one, of course, is on immigration, and really just displays in an interview with Laura Ingraham yesterday an enormous amount of hubris, arrogance, and a dismissive nature regarding the people who put Donald Trump in office, rallying for him, buying his merchandise, going to his rallies, donating to his campaigns, and ultimately pulling the lever for him in November of 2024, only to be betrayed time and time again, not just on immigration, not just on Chinese foreign students, but on a whole host of issues. One of the most horrifying, the refusal to release the Epstein files and the gaslighting of his base, telling them that there was never a controversy to begin with, that the entire Epstein saga that has been used by MAGA and Trump propagandists for the past 5 to 10 years was all a ruse. It was just a psyop, he said, by the Democrats. It really is unbelievable. But what's more unbelievable is how loyal some of his fans are. They cling to this presidency, and it is a detriment, I think, to this country. We're going to get into some of that. We're going to watch some of those videos. Really, really pretty horrifying. Brett Weinstein admitting, I mentioned this yesterday, he's part of the medical freedom movement-ish. I don't know. He says he is. He admitted on a video that Maha was dead in D.C., and we're going to talk about that with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden at the top of the hour as well. Declaring Maha dead. Where do we go from here? And essentially saying that there's nowhere to go. There's no pathway in DC to further the cause of medical freedom or address any of the issues that built the medical freedom movement, primarily the lockdowns of 2020, the democide that was committed against the American people by two presidents, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and obviously the rollout of the poison bioweapon, the mRNA shots, which tragically are still on the market, right? What did we get for all of the work and all of the effort and all of the support for people like Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. when we just end up with one rug pull after another? This is the problem in the United States of America today, and it has persisted for quite some time. So we're going to be looking at all of that, but I do want to say hello to all of you. CJP Rumble with us. Of course, I said hello to Lupine. We have Futurez on the live chat, looking for a couple other comments. Hello, Buskman. Great to see you on the live chat. We have a couple others that are joining. Let's see. Guitar Lily. Hello. Great to see you. We are in the house. Fox Die Zero. Thank you for joining us today. I haven't seen Fox Die on the live chat before. The Rumble live chatters are the best, by the way, in all of the world. Trump has always been a traitor. I voted for him in 2016, said Fox Die, thinking he was one of us. He is owned by the bankers. We also have Be My Valentine. You know, here's the thing. We all had that friend back in the day, that girlfriend who was dating the deadbeat, all right? And, you know, we're all out there looking for our husbands, trying to get a nut. And you have the one friend who is dating the guy who's just a total deadbeat, and he strings her along. They've been dating forever. She's ready to get married. She's given him her heart and her soul and many, many years of her life. And, you know, he keeps stringing her along and putting her off. And yeah, you know, someday we're not ready, have to do this first or that first. And he, you know, placates her with inviting her to move in with him. And then they live together. All of a sudden she finds herself at like 38 years old. He moves on to a younger model, actually marries her. And she's left with, you know, nothing, right? And she's wasted so much time on this guy who's never going to marry her. He's just not that into her. And she's left with nothing, you know? And that's the way it feels sometimes, that, you know, with this party, the Republican Party, they're always dangling some carrot in front of us. They're always distracting us with, you know, some feud or another with the Democrats, some fear-mongering propaganda operation, just one distraction after another, hope and prayers and hope and prayers, feeding us, all of the negative propaganda about the enemy, Democrats. I mean, they're really banking on that, right? I mean, they really have to bank on just, such utter hatred and fear of liberals and Democrats that conservatives and Republicans will just take anything, right? Like they'll take anything he gives them because they have been so properly conditioned to fear and hate Democrats. And so now we're left with basically a Democrat, a left-wing, progressive New York City Democrat shoving democratic policies and progressive policies and borderline fascistic policies down our throats time and time again, making a million promises. And we're going to talk about, I have 4 pages of promises today. Trump betrayals. I actually used Grok, the search engine, and went through and checked it out and, looked at all the sourcing. But on, every issue you can imagine, immigration, border policies, Chinese student visas, migrant farm workers, H1-B visas, foreign policy, America first, engagement with Israel and in the Middle East, Ukraine and other conflicts, international bailouts, bank bailouts, massive corporate bailouts, corporate corruption, tariffs and inflation, housing and death, healthcare, you name it. It's just one rug pull after another. It is breathtaking to watch. And from my perspective, listen, I take my own advice. For those of you who are wondering, this is a story I haven't told. I've told it before, but it's been a while since I told the story. You guys know devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy. He's my husband. We have 3 kids. We have been married for almost 24 years. We're going to celebrate our 24th wedding anniversary in December of this year, but we've been together for probably close to 30 years. But back in the day, when we were dating after college, we had been together. We dated for like a couple years in college, took a little break, then got back together. We had been dating a total of like 4 years. And I was ready to get married. I loved him. I wasn't looking at anyone else. I was ready to settle down, get the house, have the kids, move on. And I was just ready to go. And devastating was not at all. And so we had this like whole year where we were talking about when we're going to get married and what we're going to do. And he kept putting me off and he kept putting me off. And finally, I had to dump the poor guy. And I really did. I finally put my money where my mouth was. And I'm like, listen, buddy, this biological clock is ticking, right? And I'm only going to look this good for a little while. So if I waste my time with you for another 2, 3, 4 years because you're dragging your feet, what happens if you find a new younger model and you kick me to the curb? Then I'm 30 years old or 33 years old with old eggs, and now I have to go back into the dating scene and go find someone to marry me. Like, I was just not into it. So I figured I would just rip the Band-Aid off fast. I didn't want to break up with him, but I wasn't going to wait around forever. And I did. I actually broke up with poor, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy. And it was pretty terrifying because I was devastated. I really didn't want to break up. And I will tell you, you know what? He was looking at another girl. He had to see about another girl. And I could tell towards the end that he was like, I don't know, he wanted to like keep me hanging around, but he was definitely interested. And so I was like, listen, buddy, if you need to go see about that girl, go see about that girl. I'm not going to be sloppy seconds at all. And so that happened. And it was awful, actually. I was absolutely devastated. And we ended up, we were broken up for about 3 months. And I kid you not, the man came back after 3 months. He did date that girl, but realized she's no Shannon Joy. He came back in 3 months with a ring, and we were married 9 months later. And that is a true story. That is a true story. But I had all kinds of girlfriends. And, I was always the success story where they'd be like, look, Shannon, she did it. She dumped him and she got the guy, and it did work in that. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it helps you weed out the losers, right? I mean, it's a great way to weed out the losers and not waste your time. And see, that's my biggest thing. This is, people ask me, why do you focus on Trump? Why do you focus on Trump? It's more of an efficiency thing than anything else, right? Like the faster we figure out that this guy is just a massive betrayer, he's not one of us. He's definitely not a conservative. He doesn't care about America. He doesn't care about you. He never has cared about you. He cares about himself and his family and his money. And he wants to be, he wants to have a lot of power, but he'll betray you over and over again. And the longer that we mire ourselves in this just, horrifying cycle of promises and betrayal and promises and betrayal, the worse our country gets. Like we're going off the cliff and it's only getting worse. And the longer we play these games, the harder the fall is going to be. And that's really when people ask me about my Trump derangement syndrome. The reason I talk about Trump is because everyone else is talking about Trump, and MAGA and Trump and whatever this psyop is, it's holding our country back from having real conversations and real discussions about real solutions, which we could actually do if we weren't constantly in this psyop cycle of nonsense and nothingness, right? Conservative media is locked in a rumble in the jungle over nonsense. They're all fighting about everything that doesn't matter. And yeah, it's a stupid game. Sam Miller 123, awesome story. Shannon, way to stand your ground. I think devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy is happy with his choice. And after all these years, going on 24 years, I still love him more than anything. Yes, Zoe Joey 123, conservative media is gaslighting everyone. All right, so we're going to go to break. We are going to talk about all of the betrayals. I have a bunch of stories I want to get to today, a lot of videos that we're going to look at, and some other angles, some other stories that I want to talk about as well. Also some updates and new agenda items for the Shannon Joy Show. We have some fun stuff lined up, good guests lined up, and I'm going to let you in on all of those stories when we come back. So let's hit a quick commercial break. We'll come back. I will hit up the chat and get some of your comments. You guys like the story? Yeah, it's a good story. When we come back, we'll continue with these news items and more right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
What's going on, guys? Jonah here again with Satellite Phone Store, and today we are visiting Roman again at the ranch, and we're going to be looking at some EcoFlow products and the benefits of them, not only at home, but also in the outdoor life. Let's get to it.
What's up, everybody? Roman again with Satellite Phone Store. Today I'm here with EcoFlow products. We got some really awesome products today between battery packs and solar panels. Whether you're at home during an emergency preparedness type situation, or you're just out with your friends hanging out in the woods, you're always gonna have the power that you need for whatever you have going on. So right here we have the EcoFlow Pro Delta 3, which is a whole home system. You can actually power your entire home with it. And then attached to that, we have the 220 watt bifacial solar panel. The cool thing about this is if you have it set out, you don't have to move it every couple of hours to make sure it's facing the sun. It's always going to be absorbing sunlight and always charging your battery packs. One thing I like about this system right here is, like I said, during an emergency situation, I can power my entire house with it. And then right here, we actually have the River 3 Plus. It's a much more portable system, but still giving you plenty of power for whatever you've got. Attached to that, we have the 60 watt solar panel, so you can continue to charge this if you're out in the woods or any situation where you're away from the power grid. I love having this because I can put it in my backpack, you can keep it in your car, and you can power any electronics you need. One thing I love about having this portable battery system is it allows me to stay on the go. A lot of times when I'm out in the woods or if I'm out recording, my camera runs out of batteries a lot sooner than I think. So I can keep them charging and then keep moving on with the mission.
Big thank you to our sponsors over at Purge. Right now, this is the product that I've been using. I'm on day 7 of my 15-day intestinal purge. So this is an advanced cleanse for digestive health. And, growing up, speaking of our healthcare system, every time you get sick, whether you have the sniffles, a sore throat, inflammation, you go to the doctor and it's always either a virus or a bacteria, bacteria. So you get an antiviral or an antibacteria. Well, when was the last time you went to your medical doctor when you were dealing with some sort of malady and they said to you, hey, you know what? Maybe it's a parasite. Maybe it's not viral or bacterial, but maybe it's parasitic. This idea that humans can't have parasites or don't have parasites is one of the most interesting suppression suppressed pieces of information that I have seen. And I just thought of, when I first started thinking about parasites, I'm like, wow, like no one ever talks about them. But it is very true that humans can have parasites, and those parasites can impact your health in many, many negative ways. Right now, Purge is giving you guys 15% off of your order if you go to www.purgestore.com/joy. That is purgestore.com/joy. Use the promo code JOY. Join me on this cleanse, right? Again, we can't do anything about the parasites in Washington, D.C., but we can take responsibility for our own bodies and make sure that we are naturally healthy with regular parasitic cleanses. 15% off right now in your order if you go to purgestore.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Coming up this Friday, by the way, on Friday, we're going to be doing a watch party, and I'm going to be running a poll. If you guys are not following the Shannon Joy Show, if you haven't signed up on my website, www.theshannonjoy.com, for my daily e-newsletters and also the polls, we're going to be running a poll. I have chosen 4 movies. One's a documentary, actually, I believe, or maybe they're all movies. One's a documentary. And I'm going to be running a poll. You guys get to pick which one you want to do for the watch party. These are movies and or documentaries that I am interested in watching that everyone has talked about for many, many years. I've always wanted to watch. I just never have had the time to do it. And every couple Fridays or so, I thought it would be fun for us to watch them together. So you guys can also make recommendations for movies or documentaries that you think that we should run. And then we'll run these polls every so often. Whichever documentary wins, we will watch that show. So this week, and I'm going to be pushing that poll out tomorrow, and I'm going to push it out on my e-blast and also put it up on my website. So make sure today you go to www.theshannonjoy.com. That is theshannonjoy.com. You can find all of my episodes, sponsor links, and also we're going to start running all of my top stories of the day. So the curated news and information from sites, websites, and sources that I trust and that I use every single day. We're putting that together right now on the website. You're going to be able to scroll down and grab those stories. Also, all of the sourcing and the stories that I use on the daily show will be listed every day on the SJ website. So we're going to be doing some fun stuff over there. So if you haven't yet, please go to theshannonjoy.com today, right now, theshannonjoy.com, and sign up for my daily e-newsletter. These are the movies and the documentaries that I have decided to choose from. Are you guys ready? The first is The Big Short. And I got that idea. That's a movie. Seeing that we are dealing with so much fraud and manipulation and bubbles in the stock market. Amazing show with Jack Gamble earlier this week, the AI tech bubble about to burst. And those short sellers are sniffing around. I thought that The Big Short, he talked a lot about The Big Short, and I've heard it. I've seen it on social media. Everyone's like, oh, you got to watch it. So that's the first movie. The second is The Dimming. So we welcomed Dane Wigington on the Shannon Joy Show yesterday. You do not want to miss that interview. Go back, pull it up, watch it in full. This guy, he's the foremost expert on what is happening in our skies. His blockbuster documentary, it's been seen millions of times, The Dimming. So that is the second choice. So The Big Short, The Dimming. Opus, it's a movie. I don't really know anything about it other than my girl Sasha Latapova recommended it to me and said, this is a must watch. So Opus is number 3 on the list. And the last one, I cannot believe I have not seen this movie. And so many people, I see this on socials all of the time. I see it on my live chat all of the time. The movie is Idiocracy. I know. I cannot believe. Yeah, it's a stock market movie. Dino Fun. So The Big Short, The Dimming, Opus, and Idiocracy. So you guys have a little bit of time to think about it. We're going to run that poll tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, people are absolutely shocked that I haven't seen Idiocracy. Dino Fun, The Lord of the Rings. That's a long one. That is a long one. Now, that the watch party we're going to be putting behind our Rumble Premium channel. So if you guys have not signed up for Rumble Premium yet, you want to make sure that you do that, because that's a lot of that content, the Hey Fam town halls and the watch parties on Fridays are going to be behind the Rumble Premium paywall. It's like $10 a month. And it's a collaboration that I do with Rumble because, quite frankly, Rumble has been one of the best partners that I've had over the past 2 years in growing my independent show and doing it my way. I could not have done it without the amazing staff over at Rumble. And I absolutely want to I want to help them out. Mama C 1996, Idiocracy is like watching the news. CJP Rumble, I have not seen Idiocracy the movie. Only Idiocracy in real-time reality. Lupine, it's a dark comedy. We are living in it. I have a feeling Idiocracy, maybe that's going to be the one that we are going to watch. And maybe we'll take a little halftime break and we'll chat and we'll talk about all of those things behind the Rumble Premium. So that is coming up this Friday. Don't miss it. We also have some big interviews coming up next week. Tiffany Cianci is going to be with us. She's brilliant, unbelievable story. And she is just pulling the lid, or no, she's revealing the fraud. That is, you know, what we've been talking about, the rise in the housing prices and all of these private equity scams and what they're doing in Washington, D.C. No one explains it like Tiffany. She was just recently on Candace Owens. She was recently on InfoWars, and she's gaining a ton of traction on TikTok. You won't believe her story. It is the best story. She's awesome. So we're going to bring her in next week. And tomorrow, Dr. Joe Sansone, my favorite psychologist from the great state of Florida, is going to be with us to talk about psychological manipulation, psychological operations, and you know, how they manipulate. I think it's a really important topic because, you know, as I watch what is happening with Donald Trump, the blatant, in your face, disgusting rug pull, one after another, literally hosting an Al-Qaeda terrorist in the Oval Office on Veterans Day, betraying every single veteran, every man and woman who left their family, lost life or limb to go to the godforsaken wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, throughout the Middle East, to fight the war on terror for America, to welcome in. And it's not even like you had to look very hard to find out about the history on this guy. We talked about this yesterday on the Shannon Joy Show, and we'll talk about it again. But, you know, to pummel the American, his base, MAGA, veterans, America First, Republicans, conservatives, constitutionalists, our men and women in the U.S. military, to do that on day one, and then day two, just pull the rug out from everyone again and humiliate them really about H1-B visas and what he's going to do with that program on Fox News with Laura Ingraham, while walking her through the gilded Oval Office, bedazzled with ostentatious and frankly ridiculous looking gold, you know, whatever. It's ridiculous. is just really disgusting and somewhat psychologically abusive. And I think that so much of what we are dealing with today is a psyop. And this is why I want to talk to Joe Sansone about mass formation, mass hypnosis, psychological manipulation and abuse, because what we're seeing, there's so many things happening with not only Trump rehabilitating the character of an Al-Qaeda terrorist, and also Fox News, but it achieves a lot of agendas, right? They, as I mentioned, they're laundering his character. They do this with Nick Fuentes. We saw that with Tucker Carlson and the platforming of Nick Fuentes. They tried to do it with Andrew and Tristan Tate. They try to introduce horrifying people to us that we know are horrifying, and then somehow normalize what they're doing that is horrifying, or forget about what they did that was horrifying and make us eat it, right? And I don't know what the agenda is here. I have a hunch. I'm not an expert in psychological manipulation, but Dr. Joseph Sansone is. It's his specialty. But I think what we're seeing, it's a character laundering operation. It's also somewhat of a humiliation ritual. It is shoving this in the base's face and saying, eat this, take it, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's the equivalent of when he said, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and my base would still vote for me. It's meaning I can abuse you. I can hurt you. I can lie to you. I can harm you. And I can betray you. And you'll never leave. It's like an abusive spousal situation, right? And it is a form, I think, of gaslighting. It also creates demoralization, right? People who dutifully support candidates, go and vote for candidates, attend their rallies, buy their books, buy their merch, put their hats on, defend them to their friends and their family, lose relationships over a political contest, relationships with their neighbors, their friends, their family members, as they fight over two political candidates and defend the honor of Donald Trump, taking on the burden of his presidency as if they are somehow responsible for it. This is what happens when people align in this kind of way with a president, especially a person who violently betrays them time and time again. So it creates that demoralization and then apathy, which eventually leads to full-scale submission, right? And that's what they're doing to the Tea Party movement, to conservatism, to conservatives, to people who believe in the Constitution, that go to CPAC and Turning Point USA rallies and the Great Awakening rallies, the Clay Clark rallies, the revivals, the tent, all the things. They pay money for that. And they support these people, but then they're betrayed. It turns people into slaves. It rots their minds, creates idols out of villains. And it works until it doesn't. This is why James Lindsay has been, I think rightly so, calling what has happened within conservative media the knockdown, drag out, ridiculous fight between Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh versus Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and Nick Fuentes, and the likes of Nick Fuentes, right? It's this massive feud. And, James Lindsay calls this a color revolution. I mean, and this is happening on the left as well. Believe me, the left and the Democrats are conducting their own psychological operations on Democrats and liberals. I truly believe the Democrat Party was hijacked by BLM, hijacked by LGBTQ and the psychotic, insane trans movement, turning that party into whatever it is today, right? And I'm not as plugged into the inner workings of what happens among Democrats, but I can certainly see how they betray their own people as well, time and time and time again. But the majority of the American people were kind of locked into this very dysfunctional and insane system and we can't get out of it. I mean, the only way to get out of it is to refuse to play the game and avoid that submission. We have so much power. M. Garth Hilton, I saw you on the live chat. You mentioned really the only solutions, the only wins that we are going to have, in my opinion, are going to be from the bottom up local level and throughout the market. So essentially, the American people saying, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not buying into the technocracy, techno-fascism, the digital cryptocurrencies. I'm not buying into a digital ID. I will not vote in elections, particularly presidential elections. I'm pretty much I'm pretty much ready to boycott the 2028 election. That's almost a certain for me, because I'm not doing false choices anymore. Doesn't mean I won't engage on the local level and also the state level. But so I think that refusal to comply, peaceful noncompliance, civil disobedience, frankly, I loved that Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about a nationwide tax boycott, a refusal to pay taxes to the U.S. government, the federal government, in an orderly fashion, putting them in escrow and earmarking them for future payment at some time, but not until the bastards in D.C. do what they say they're going to do, pull their heads out of their asses and put this country back on a constitutional course, on a sane course. Because we are off the rails. I think that's a great idea. I want more of that, out of the box thinking. I want more discussion about solutions for young people so that they can buy a home. Okay? That's not too much to ask. That's not too much to ask. And so that's why Dr. Joe Sansone is going to be with us. We're going to talk about mass formation, psychological warfare, and how they use that on us, using profiles that are created on us from our social media interactions. Sophisticated. But once you understand how it works, you are perfectly able to defeat it and beat it. We're going to discuss that tomorrow on the SJ Show with Dr. Joseph Sansone. He's coming in at around 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. All right. So yeah, so I'm Garth Hilton. It is psych warfare to collapse dialogue into mass formation of the right, into fascism, to fight the leftist communists, so that the normal Americans and the founding realists are destroyed by these two. Brilliant statement. Thank you, M. Garth Hilton. Yes, that is a color revolution. And it looks like it is being deployed by our own government, our own intelligence agencies on we the people right now. They did it in Libya. They did it in Ukraine. They did it in countries across the Middle East and in Europe. And I suspect they're doing it here in the US. We need to understand what time it is. And the time is not to have a knockdown drag out with your neighbor or your loved one over a fake ass election with two decrepit, corrupt political candidates who screw us and lie to us every single time. There is so much more that we could do. I see you, CJP Rumble. Mr. Worthless Leader, we should conduct elections that bypass, ignore the uniparty stranglehold, and create a parallel government that represents us to oppose the parallel government that doesn't represent us, and we need to ignore them. Yeah, I think we should go back to paper ballots. That would be smart. And we can do that potentially at the local level. People can go back to using cash, right? Start getting your cash out, using cash every single day, using checks. Divest out of your government controlled or algorithm controlled or big finance company controlled 401k or Roth IRA. Take custody of your own retirement. You can do that using Rocketdollar, for example, one of the sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. You could literally take custody of your own 401k and Roth IRA. And invest that into local real estate. You could use a financial advisor to help you invest that. But that would get you out of the big tech bubbles. That would protect at least some of your assets. This is not financial advice, but there are a million things that people can do. I'll tell you what, if enough Americans divested and took custody of their own retirement. Do you know how many trillions of dollars are in your individual retirement accounts, and how the federal government and these vicious vultures on Wall Street are eyeballing the middle America's 401ks to fund some of the bailouts? They can crash it on your head, put us in a terrible situation. You have the power to divest out of that. You could put it into gold or silver. You could do a gold or silver IRA. You could invest in physical gold or silver. You could take your 401k, your IRA, and I'm not recommending any of this, right? You guys know me. I am an all of the above kind of girl. I have cash. I have land. I have some real estate. I have a gold and silver IRA, and I also have physical gold and silver. And I divvy it all up and I spread it all around. And that's pretty much all that you can do. We had some great advice from Jack Gamble yesterday as well. But taking control of your own life. You guys see commercials every day for the satellite phone store. Being independent, not being dependent on the grid or the government or even your local government for electricity. If you're able to power your home, if the lights go out, they can't threaten you with brownouts and blackouts. You can stay connected and be a blessing to your neighbors. If more of us began thinking in those ways, as opposed to, the palace intrigue in this just boring soap opera with terrible actors in Washington, D.C., this country would be a different place. And we can do that, right? But no one is out there. I mean, what if Glenn Beck were saying things that I'm saying to you? What if Mark Levin were saying things that I say to you, right? What if Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, people with millions of viewers, what if you were hearing about this on talk radio rather than obsessive idol worship of this decrepit orange god in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump? It's just such a waste of time. Such a waste of time. But anyway, I digress. What was my point? I don't remember. Anyway, the betrayal. Let's go to some of our video clips before we go to break. TJ, let's run, if you want to get these queued up, let's run the first one. These videos came out yesterday. Laura Ingraham, and you know what? Everyone's like applauding Laura Ingraham for going and asking him hard questions. Okay. Laura Ingraham has pimped for Donald Trump in every election cycle, in every primary. She has, gone to bat for him and actually attacked some of his primary opposition with her massive platform. So if she's mad now about all of the betrayals that Trump is heaping upon his base, she could have done something about that in the last primary and the primary before that, right? It's always too little too late for these guys. They'll be concerned about Donald Trump, but the second you get 6 to 8 months out of an election cycle or 6 to 8 months out of a primary cycle, they fall right in line and they repeat the propaganda. And that goes for Hannity, Levin, Tucker, Candace, Laura Ingraham, and the lot of them. Okay. So now that everyone in the base is so concerned about Trump lying to them and betraying them, well, buckle up. Yeah, exactly. Buckle up, he'll do it again, and they'll do it again. Again, this is Groundhog Day political hell. I came up with that term, by the way, like 10 years ago. And I'm still in it. I'm still in the loop. Let's go to that video, TJ. MAGA was my idea, said Trump. It's not about you. It's not about Americans. It's not about American jobs. It's all about me, says Donald Trump, and you're going to eat it. The base is going to eat it, and you're going to like it. Let's run that first clip with Laura Ingraham.
But I'll show you something. This is the equivalent of...
No, that's not it, TJ. That's the wrong one.
I built many ballrooms and many buildings.
TJ, that's the wrong one. There is a longer video where Laura Ingraham asks Donald Trump about the H1-B program. If you can rustle up that one, that would be great. And then we'll go to the other one. I mean, he takes Laura Ingraham through the palace, shows her all of his renovations and the gilded Oval Office, which is just, But TJ, do you have that clip ready for me? You want to run it? Oh, maybe not. It was a good clip. Yes, that's the one. We're rustling that up for you. Yeah, that's it. No. It's not the one that says he's mocking us. It's the one before before that. Okay. What the 2-minute one is, let's run the 2-minute one and see if that's the right one. Sorry about that, guys. My fault. I probably sent him the wrong clips. But let's run the 2-minute one and see if that's the right one.
But I'll show you
Nope.
something. This is the equivalent of what I do with the ballroom.
That's not it. Why don't we go to break? Let's go to break. Yeah, let's go to break. I will find that clip. Or you know what? Do we need to see the clips? I think I explained them well. I mean, you guys have all seen them. They're all over Twitter. And yeah, President Antoinette. So if you guys want to scroll down in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show under Shannon's top headlines, November 12th, 2025, you will find all of the clips of Trump betraying his base. We don't need to belabor them here and give them any more airtime. Yeah, M. Garth Hilton. Laura Ingraham is entering the WWE ring at the DC Gaslighting Arena. She will be pile drived and then will leave Trump a little bloody, right? Yeah, so Laura is now going to come out. She's going to put on the gloves and she's going to be leading the fight against Donald Trump. Like she did. I mean, this is all so predictable. It is all so predictable. But we have actually run out of time for this portion. When we come back, we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to bring in the Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. We are going to discuss some of the medical news of the day, the status of the health freedom movement, and MAGA, among other things. We're also going to talk to her about her blockbuster interview coming up live in just about a half an hour with Dr. Stephen Hatfield. He is the embattled doctor just let go, fired at HHS. Many said, we're saying that he was one of the last men standing that was looking for the truth on what really happened with COVID-19 and was advocating the removal of the mRNA shots. She's also going to be welcoming Gray Delaney, another medical freedom warrior who was also unceremoniously let go from the Trump administration. He, again, was another medical freedom warrior. So she's going to be interviewing the two of them. This is This has been a very controversial move. And the medical freedom movement is outraged, and rightfully so. So we are going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to bring in the amazing Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. Keep it tuned right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Hey guys, Justin here with the Satellite Phone Store, and right now I'm in London at the Tower Bridge. So something that has been notorious for years in Europe and London is pickpocketers. But the thing is, today, they aren't just physically taking your things, they are taking them digitally. So in order to protect yourself from something like that, it's really important to have something like one of these Faraday bags. This is our escape zone, small Faraday bag. And the way that it works is that when I put my devices, like my phone, my cards inside this Faraday bag, it protects all your digital information from getting stolen. So what's happening are these guys are coming by with a little scanner and they're taking your cards. They're able to unlock your phone and access all your information, including your banking information, change your passwords on you. So this is a great way to protect yourself from that type of foul use. Another thing that this also does protect you from is electromagnetic frequencies, and those can and have been proven to actually cause health problems. So having a bag, a Faraday bag like this to put your devices in at night or when you're walking or when you have it close to your body is another reason to have a Faraday bag, protect yourself from those harmful radiation. And if you don't want to be tracked by companies like Google or whatever, this is another thing that will prevent that from happening. So visit Satellite Phone Store to explore our product line and find out more information about these Faraday bags.
I am embarking on a parasite cleanse with Purge. It is the Purge Advanced Parasite Cleanse. As I mentioned, I'm on day 4, and It's going very well. It's a gentle cleanse. I might ramp it up to there's an ivermectin cleanse that the wellness company has that is, I think, a little bit too intense for me. I want to start with something a little gentler. But what people don't realize is that one of the biggest threats to our health isn't something that we see. It's something that is living inside us, something very, very, very tiny, microscopic, and that is parasites. They enter through your food, water, even the air we breathe. And once they're in, they drain your energy, cloud your mind, and can weaken your immune system, quietly stealing your vitality day after day. So this is why I am now doing my very first ever. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm enjoying it. I think it's working. It's the Purge Advanced Parasite Cleanse. It isn't just another supplement. It is a natural, powerful formula. It's made with ingredients used for centuries to detoxify the body, eliminate parasites, and restore balance safely and effectively. We're so thrilled to welcome Purge Parasite Cleanse as one of our advertisers here in the Shannon Joy Show. So we'll be talking about the ingredients. We'll be talking more about how it works, but you guys can try it with me if you go to www.purgestore.com/joy. That is purgestore.com/joy. Make sure you use the promo code JOY for 15% off if you want to start on the Parasite Cleanse. So Lupine, thank you for setting me up for that. And yes, I will make sure that's why you're so loopy, Brandon Bennett. You're loopy because you might have parasites and you can cleanse them with Purge. So make sure you go to purgestore.com/joy. That is purgestore.com/joy. I want to talk quickly, though, about Rocketdollar. They are new sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. You guys are going to meet Henry Yoshida. We're going to do a full hour on the economic pain, inflation, and what regular Americans can do to protect themselves as we move towards recession, potentially depression, and conceivably even a currency collapse. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family. And one of the ways that you can do that is through a self-directed IRA. Go to rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy today. There's a free guide that you can sign up for where you can learn all about how to take control of your investments and your retirement. You can do that through Rocketdollar. It is rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy. That is rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy to learn about how you can invest in real estate using your own hard-earned retirement savings. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Not just real estate, gold and silver, private equity. There are so many options at Rocketdollar when you take custody of your 401k or Roth IRA or a portion of it. They are amazing sponsors. We're going to be bringing Henry Yoshida back in on the Shannon Joy Show very soon, partnering up for 2026. An amazing company. So make sure you go check them out, rocketdollar.com/joy. They'll send you all of the information that you need. It's actually pretty easy. Also, on Friday, the watch party, Buskman, I See You. We're going to be doing it in the morning. So I'm probably going to start. You guys know how we do this. No makeup, no hair, coffee in the morning from my home. A broadcast pushed out by me. We're going to do a watch party. And that's probably going to start somewhere around 9-ish, maybe 10-ish. So Buskman, I will have all the details for that tomorrow. And we will also have the poll up for the movie/documentary that you guys want to watch together for that watch party. So without further ado, I want to welcome into the Joy Virtual Studio for our special Wednesday crossover segment. It is the Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, one of the biggest stars in the medical freedom community, and she just keeps growing because, well, she tells the truth and doesn't sell out. And this is why your show has been a huge hit, Dr. Bowden. People love it. Your interviews are great. Today you have a big interview with Dr. Stephen Hatfield and another guy, his name is Gray Delaney, who have been ousted out of the administration because they're holding water for the medical freedom movement. So that's pretty exciting. How are you feeling about that interview?
Oh, I'm super excited. Gray reached out to me in June and was sort of the only connection I had to HHS. And I was super
Wow.
grateful because, like many of us, we've been fighting really hard, really vocally. We've sacrificed a lot by speaking out. And the vast majority of us were just cast aside by the new administration with no input, no communication. And then, since then, I personally have been criticized for speaking out against the current administration, but there's been no communication. They want me to be quiet, but they don't really want to talk to me. And Gray, though, would talk to me. And he was balanced. He wasn't. He was sticking up for people that I probably wouldn't have stuck up for. But he gave good arguments, and it was the nice little communication to have. So it was shocking when he was fired, and then Dr. Hatfield was sort of the most outspoken. He was sort of surprised that he got in there just because he has no filter about the pandemic. He's been, very plain spoken about his thoughts, doesn't mince words. So it was refreshing to see that he was in office. And so I'm just thrilled to talk to both of them, just to kind of get a peek inside of what is going on, because it seems a little bit secretive, and we'll hopefully get some insights into why these COVID shots have not been pulled off the market.
Wow. This has really divided kind of the medical freedom community. People are lining up on sides, right, with this Hatfield firing, because for those of us who want a reckoning, we want justice, we want the truth about the COVID shots, we want solutions and cures for people who were injured or poisoned by the mRNA shots. We would prefer that pregnant women and babies are not injected anymore with the mRNA shots. We would prefer that, this administration would not promote and market 500 new mRNA technologies. Like, all of these things are just kind of insane that we're dealing with this after being told by Bobby Kennedy Jr. and MAGA that electing Donald Trump would be the path to some sort of victory or some sort of discernible policy outcome that is good for medical freedom. We haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen any of it. A lot of distraction, a lot of PR, a lot of spin, a lot of dangling the carrot in front of us month after month after month that, hope and change. We're going to get a study. They dangle the autism thing in front of us and then tell us it's Tylenol. It's just kind of crazy. And so this is just I think the straw that broke the camel's back, where the movement is like, what is going on with this? And so it's a little controversial. Your interview, I think, is going to be watched by a lot of people to figure out, like, what was the reasoning behind that firing, and I'm glad you're doing it.
Well, and I was advised not to interview Dr. Hatfield, which makes me, of course, want to interview him even more.
So I love her. I love her.
I won't say it.
This is why I was like, get this girl a show.
Advise me.
Right.
Well, and to his credit, Dr. Hatfield does not want to mudsling. There's a lot of mudslinging going on, and he told me he wants to avoid that. He wants to just focus on the issues. And there's somebody out there who I deeply respect for everything she has done for COVID. But she did throw the first punch at him, and I'm curious about that, but he doesn't want to go there. So we're not going to go there. We're going to just focus on HHS and everything going on. And, today is a big day in DC. MAGA is having a summit with some interesting keynote speakers. The list is Regeneron, Walmart, Google, Neuralink. These companies will be heavily featured at the MAGA summit. It's very interesting.
Neuralink, that is Elon Musk, a chip in your brain that interfaces with AI and Starlink. That sounds great. That just sounds really great. I actually have a clip. I have 2 clips for you. Okay. First of all, I want to ask you about this statement. It's interesting that MAGA is having a summit in Washington, D.C. with all of these, corporate hacksters. When Brett Weinstein, who I guess is kind of a leader of the MAGA movement or the medical frame, he's everywhere. He's at all the things. He does all the podcasts. This guy is like, I don't know, he's got his hands in all of the medical freedom stuff. Well, he comes out just a couple days ago and basically says that MAGA is dead in D.C. There's no path, right? There's nothing to do here. Let's take a look at that clip. It actually vindicates you and I. I mean, in those of us who are saying, not necessarily the best idea to get in bed with the guy who locked us down in the first place and gave us Operation Warp Speed and the shots, right? Like, that might not be a good strategy. But now here we are 8 months in, really actually 14 months in, because a lot of this started in the summer of 2024 when Bobby Kennedy Jr. canceled, his campaign and aligned with Donald Trump. Remember, it was Casey and Callie Means who negotiated that deal. Casey and Callie Means, who are connected to the Susie Wiles pipeline, okay, which is big pharma. So that's what we did 14 months ago, which I reported to all of you, by the way. But here we are now. We've lost a lot of credibility. We've wasted a lot of time. And this is what Brett Weinstein has to say about our prospects in Washington, D.C. Go ahead and roll that tape.
Do I think there's a way for the world to be structured?
Yes.
You're never going to get rid of all the bad people, but that it's tolerant, that it deals with the bad people sufficiently well, that the good people have enough of a stake, that the objectives are clear enough, that people have meaning in their life, that they... Can it be structured so that it works?
Right.
Not perfectly, but well enough. Yeah, I absolutely believe that it can.
So what do you think?
Hold on, but the second question, where I'm more pessimistic, is there a path from here to there?
Oh, so it could be done, but is there a path?
Right.
Hooey.
Things are so wildly fucked up. And, I'm watching, in many cases, my friends pulled into the administration with a lot of momentum behind them, and I'm watching something seemingly prevent the promise that was there from being realized. Right?
You're talking about RFK.
Well, I'm talking about, RFK. I was just with Jay Bhattacharya. There's something that when the good people get to Washington and try to do the right thing, there is an architecture that drains them, that wastes their efforts, that places roadblocks, that causes them to back their objectives way off. And I don't know what it is, but it's disheartening to see it. I mean, even just, we could talk about the mRNA vaccines. This one was so clear. We've got people in Washington who know it. They can't apparently get these things off the market. Like, what the hell is that?
If I was running the board right now, I'd start playing the theme song, that Pink Floyd song "Money." You know the beginning of that.
Oh, sure.
Dun, 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 dun.
You think so? I mean, I don't know, Mary. I seem to recall there were people out there saying these things. Like, so what does he say? Like, what do you make of that?
I had a direct conversation with Brett at the movie premiere, and now I'm drawing a blank of the name, about the vaccine injuries. And we were on a panel together, and I was pushing, we need to push Bobby. We need to push him, and he was saying, no, we have to support Bobby. now I feel like this is a concession that, his plan, his strategy might not have been, I don't know, maybe our strategy is wrong too, but it's not working. Supporting him, blind obedience, being quiet about it is not working. And I also did an interview with Dell Bigtree, who told me that they saw me as a threat, which I take that as a compliment. That they were worried that I was coming out, swinging hard against them. So, I think this is a little bit of vindication that, yes, we need to keep pushing very hard. We can do it respectfully, but we still need to push very, very hard. And I do think they see what we're doing and it bothers them, which is all the more reason to keep doing it.
Absolutely. I think it also goes to a discussion about what is structurally, what is the proper mechanism of an organization that is operating to achieve an agenda, right? Whether it's an agenda to protect medical freedom, an agenda to take the mRNA shots off the market, whatever that agenda item is. And we fell for the farce and the lie that I've seen so many Republicans and conservatives and constitutionalists and Tea Partiers and evangelicals fall for the past 10 years. And that is, well, you have to gain access to people who have power, and you have to help people who promise that they're going to do the things that you want get to power. So you have to get them to power. You have to give them money, advocate for them, carry their water, push them over the finish line, put them in places of great power and great wealth. And by the way, people connected to MAGA have made a shitload of money. I'm just going to say it. Okay. They are making a ton of money off of this. And we just saw that with the list of names that you led there are at the, the MAGA conference. Okay. So you do all of that. And then we were led to believe that then we would get our agenda items. They would work their hardest. They would really, but, there are ways these things are done, right? We've got to do this diplomatically. We've got to, and when in reality, if you look at the Democratic apparatus, the Democratic Party, and you realize what they did on the latest No Kings rally, okay? They have people embedded locally in every community across the United States of America. They have an apparatus and an organization that is well-funded. It is set up, and it creates and generates results. They turned out tens of millions of people to the streets, regular people, not AstroTurf, 3,000 to 4,000 people in my community, right outside my front door in my little village of Fairport, New York, my neighbors. And I'm thinking to myself, how are they accomplishing this? And it's because we have book sales and merch, and we go to conferences, and we hero worship people and go and support them. We go to the Great Awakening rallies, and we go to all these things. So we have like a marketing apparatus to give these decrepit losers power. We don't have any apparatus in place to actually get things done. This is why I've been saying for 10 years, local, local, local. It is not sexy, right? But that's what we need to do. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, something just happened in Texas, which is shocking to me. We had an election for constitutional amendments. They all passed. There were 17 of them. A lot of them were to reduce taxes, which I was in support of. But one in particular was really bad. It was awarding the medical complex in our state $3 billion boondoggle to study dementia. And, this could be handled on a private level. The hospitals in Texas do not pay property taxes, and property taxes is a huge issue for Texans. And every major conservative outlet organization was opposed to this amendment, Proposition 14. So and there was so much support on X against the amendment. It passed. And I really think it's because the Democrats got in there and voted for it and raised, garnered their troops to vote for this amendment, right? Because it was not very well favored at all by the Republicans.
Yeah. Well, I will, to that point, the second part of my analysis, I advocate localism, not necessarily state level, but like hyper local, your zoning board, your school board, your village board. I also advocate complete removal from the fake ass two-party political system, because from my perspective, the Democrats and the Republicans work together. And what I'm seeing happen in Texas is exactly what happened in the state of New York. Essentially, the Republican Party became infiltrated. They all became technically liberal Democrats and lost on purpose. So that happened in New York. We now have one party rule in New York, and the Republican apparatus is completely impotent. They don't win any elections. They run to lose. So they flush millions and millions of dollars down the toilet every election cycle to lose. But on the back end, they get the contracts, they get the subsidies, they get the deals, they get a seat at the table, but all the while pushing the agenda items of the ideological left. I won't even call them Democrats anymore. So that's probably the second part of my analysis, is that, when I talk about bottom up, I'm talking about cultural movements, right? Like what we achieved as a medical freedom movement during the rollout of the shots. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And that actually happened this election cycle too. In some of our most conservative counties, the school boards were flipped for the first time, which was shocking. And we have a house divided in Texas amongst the Republicans, very divided. And there's a clear, and most of the people that, I have a lot of people that signed our pledge calling for the COVID shots to be pulled off the market in Texas, representatives. And those are the ones that, are true conservatives. And then there's a whole host of other conservatives that are very rhino, and they love Greg Abbott, and it's all entrenched with the medical system as well.
Yeah.
So, interesting. And in fact, I want to put a quick plug in for the guest I had last week, Doc Pete Chambers, running for governor of Texas, and we are having a fundraiser for him tonight in Houston at Poblanos. It only seats 100 people, so it's first come, first serve.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. And, that doesn't mean omit yourself completely from the electoral process, though I am pretty much think I'm going to boycott the 2028 presidential election. I'm going to do that very publicly, very loudly. Doesn't mean that I don't want to get involved at local level, maybe local elections if I think there are good choices there, and at the state level. Like, I have no problem pulling the lever for someone if I think they represent my positions. I'm just not doing lesser of two evils anymore. I'm just not doing it, And so Doc Chambers is worthy. I mean, I saw your interview, and he's been great. So if I were in Texas, I would vote for him. So for me, it's going to be like people are going to have to decide for themselves what they want to do. The biggest victory that I think that we achieved as a medical freedom community was in advocating and working to protect and maintain and create the control group, the 30% or so of Americans who refuse the COVID shots. It was a collaboration to move the market and the culture. And that, I think, has been the single most effective death blow to the pharmaceutical community and to that establishment than any election, any law, any court decision, any type of appeal. It's that moving together to push the culture there. And I want more of those wins. That's what I want to see. If we can seize back and kind of refocus the medical freedom movement, I'd love to see us moving there. What's the next thing they're going to try to shove into our bodies, and how do we encourage people and educate them to resist it?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think you're right. We have won the information war for all intents and purposes, because at that last ACIP meeting, the CDC admitted that only 10% of healthcare workers are getting these shots, which speaks volumes. Like that. So we are winning. The majority of Americans have seen through these lies. Yeah, unfortunately, I think most people, majority have moved on and are not focused on it. But yeah, it just is a testament that the government has this illusion of, they're presenting an illusion that they are in control and that they are very powerful, and they continue to speak out very loudly about health issues, which really bothers me. I know a lot of people are excited about Makari coming out and speaking about HRT, testosterone, and hormone and estrogen for women. But in my opinion, can we just have them back off? Just fade away. FDA prior to the pandemic, I mean, I didn't give a second thought to the FDA prior to the pandemic. It was just not on my radar. I saw them as an agency that approves medications for drug companies trying to bring their products to market. That's all they did.
Right.
They weren't out on X telling people, take hormones, don't take hormones. We saw this play out with ivermectin, and it was a complete disaster. I sued them, and we actually won. And they were supposed to be back in their lane, but they're inching out of their lane again, and that really bothers me.
Well, I agree with you. And I also think we're going to have opportunities to say no. I think they're going to try to get us on that digital ID. They're going to try to get us on digital currencies. So there's going to be some more choosing coming up in the next 6 to 8 to 12 months. And I think that we can reinvigorate our movement to resist that. And like I mentioned, those digital IDs should be terrifying to people in the medical freedom community, because if Elon gets his way and they put a chip in your brain, well, they can track you anywhere. So the technocracy, the technology, and the medical freedom movement, or the medical industrial complex, they are going to be merging. JD Vance wants that. I think that's why he's heading up. I mean, he's a technocrat through and through, Mary. So we'll be covering all of that on our crossover show moving forward. And hopefully you'll be covering some of that in future shows. So Dr. Bowden, great job. I am really excited to watch your show and your interview with Dr. Hatfill and also Gray Delaney. So without further ado, guys, we are going to wrap up the Shannon Joy Show today. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to bring Dr. Mary Talley Bowden in for live with Dr. Mary, or on call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden with her special guest. So thank you to everyone for being with us today. Thank you to you all in the live chat. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to take a quick break. It's going to be a couple minutes while we set up the new feed and get everything ready to broadcast on all of our additional platforms. So if you're watching right now, keep it tuned right here. We're going to go to a slight break, and then we're going to bring in and commence with On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. You guys have a great day. Hello and welcome everyone to On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, our weekly live special, talking about the medical news and information of the day. In just a moment, we're going to bring in your host, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, along with her special guest for today's show. But first, I want to send a huge thank you out to our friends over at the Wellness Company. We could not bring this amazing show to you every Wednesday live without their generous support. So if you are ever shopping on the Wellness Company website, make sure that you use the promo code MARY. Now, today I do want to talk to you all about ivermectin. You might not know this, but what if the medicine that helped save millions during the pandemic was being made mostly in China today? Well, it's true. About 58% of the world's ivermectin supply comes from China and 75% from Asia overall, but not the wellness companies. Introducing American-made ivermectin, safe, trusted, and produced right here in the United States of America. Ivermectin has been prescribed globally for more than 30 years and has even earned a Nobel Prize in medicine for its proven ability to eliminate parasites and support overall health. New research also now points to potential benefits for skin, the immune system, and even cancer support. Most pharmacies charge $5 a tablet, but the wellness company is offering a higher 18 milligram dose for just over $3 each. You'll get a 6-month supply designed for 4 21-day cleanse cycles, which, by the way, I'm going to be starting again at an unbeatable price. Support American-made medicine, not China's supply chain, and get your USA-made ivermectin today from the Wellness Company. So right now, I want to encourage all of you guys to go to twc.health/Mary and use the promo code MARY to save $30 on your supply plus free shipping. That's twc.health/Mary, and make sure you use that promo code Mary to save $30 off plus your free shipping. All right, guys, again, thank you to the Wellness Company. Make sure you use that promo code MARY. Works for the ivermectin and works for everything else on their website. It helps us to bring this show to you every day and supports the companies that support the amazing Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. So without further ado, I'm going to toss the show over to Mary. It's going to be a great one. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Shannon. Excited today to have two people who have some inside information on HHS. Gray Delaney was working to implement MAGA, sort of a liaison between HHS and MAGA, and Dr. Stephen Hatfield, who was working with pandemic preparation within HHS. Welcome, guys. And I want to start with Gray because you were sort of fired first, but I will say it seems like this was a package deal in some sense, because I know it, well, from what I understand, Gray, your firing had to do with the way you communicated BARDA canceling contracts, the mRNA contracts, but give us just a quick overview of what happened.
Yeah, so I originally reached out to you, back in June through Emerald Robinson, because when I came on, I saw it as one of my roles, or one of my chief role, was to liaison with our most fervent and dedicated medical freedom supporters in the medical freedom community. And of course, you're one of them, Dr. Bowden, and have done heroic work really advocating about the harms of the COVID vaccine. So unfortunately, I was trying, what I wanted to do was to start regularly communicating, saying, here's what's going on at HHS, here's what's coming up. If we're trying to lead to something that may be more controversial, say removing the emergency use authorization for the Pfizer, Novartis and not Novartis, AstraZeneca. Those Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Moderna, removing the EUA for those 3 vaccines, we need to do the advanced work to provide cover for those decisions and to build up support. So I had hoped to start a regular communication with a list of MAGA supporters. At that point, they were completely shut out and had no communication whatsoever with HHS. And I was told by Stephanie Spear that that was not possible. We were not allowed to communicate with anyone outside HHS. So therefore, I pivoted to trying to work with MAGA Action and trying to feed some information to MAGA Action. Unfortunately, a lot of that information didn't get out either. And so we were just doing an incredibly poor job of strategic communications, because every announcement that was made in a vacuum. There was no advanced foreknowledge, or the ground wasn't laid for the announcements. And so you'd see these come out, and there might be one X post and a video from Secretary Kennedy, and that was it. and then we'd lose any momentum we had. Of course, we wouldn't have any momentum to start with. So I guess the first
Well,
let's go ahead.
Well, I was going to say real quick. I mean, why did they hire you if they're not letting you do that? Because wasn't that the purpose of your job?
Yeah, well, that's a $1 million question. So the overarching problem at HHS is that Secretary Kennedy does not have his people at HHS. He doesn't have Peter McCullough. He doesn't have Dr. Geithler. He doesn't have Dr. Reinkohl. He doesn't have you. He doesn't have any of these people to implement your agenda. And personnel is policy, and there is massive institutional resistance within these government agencies to the health freedom agenda and to getting to the bottom of the rot at FDA, at CDC. And to my knowledge, there is very few people there. That's one reason I reached out to Dr. Hatfield very early on. I wanted to meet him because I knew of the heroic work he had done during COVID, especially on promoting the Just Like Work When, and had a whole pandemic preparedness plan. And so I got through basically because Scott Besson, I worked for Scott Besson at All Seasons Press. He recommended me, and Steve Bannon did. And it took, and RFK, and I was working with Secretary Kennedy. So it took them pushing personnel. And then at the last minute, Stephanie Spear tried to block my appointment and called me and said, what's going on here? And I was about to receive an offer, and the offer was on the table. And then she tried to pull it back. And then what happened is that a friend of mine called surgery.
Wait, real quick. So she tried to pull you back based on what? Like, were you, were you super outspoken about COVID prior to coming on in the government, or what were you doing right before?
So I'm back to my old job. I run the Seasonal Employment Alliance, which is neither here nor there. And then I have a small publishing company called Calamo Press. And I supported Secretary Kennedy during the campaign. I held a fundraiser for him in Charlottesville, Virginia. He's a graduate of UVA Law. But the point is to keep out people that can really drive this sort of transformational change that we need to make America healthy again. And so when Stephanie called me, she tried to say I had no communications experience. I wasn't properly, even though I've been in the publishing industry, I ran Dave Bratt's primary against Eric Cantor, which is one of the most historic political upsets of the last 50 years in this country. And if you know a well-run campaign, it's all about communications, crisis communications, et cetera. I knew I was kind of that bridge between MAGA and MAHA. I supported Trump in 2015. I worked at the convention for President Trump. So I was a Trump guy and I was a Kennedy guy. So I was really an excellent candidate and highly qualified position, but that's the point. She didn't want really highly qualified people in these positions because she wants people that they can control. So that's people in their mid-20s that don't have a career yet, and therefore they are completely dependent upon them for advancement. That's the purpose. And so people like me, people like Dr. Hatfield, we're a problem. They don't want us.
Well, and who onboarded you? So when you get the job, and what do they tell you? Are there limits? Are there things you can't talk about, or is it just you?
No, you
start and do your job.
Yeah, you learn as you go, and everyone is kind of scared of their own shadow in there. And so it becomes a very self-fulfilling prophecy that you're just not to bring up the vaccine issue. Let's focus on the easy wins first, and then we'll get to the vaccine issue eventually. Let's focus on food dyes and hormone replacement and who knows what else. But, these are not the issues. So my first couple of weeks, when I asked Commissioner McCary, I said, what's going on with this EUA? I'm getting blasted by the MAHA base about why we still have an EUA on these COVID vaccines. And his response was, well, we have the children that have immune suppressant or immunocompromised won't be able to receive the vaccine if we don't give them, if we don't have the EUA. And when you know it, but 2 days later after that conversation with them, the announcement comes out that they've approved the Moderna Spikevax for immunocompromised children. So that was on July 12th, I believe. And that was a real wake-up call for things that were going very, very wrong. I know Dr. Hatfield was communicating to the secretary and to FDA and to Commissioner McCary about what a disastrous decision that was. And at that time, I remember I was communicating to you, Dr. Bowden, about Vinay Prasad and the attack he was under by Big Pharma, by including a lot of Trump people like Chris Lasavita, Reince Priebus, Laura Loomer, Rick Santorum. about pulling this muscular dystrophy drug called Sarepta. So Vinay, and ultimately he had to resign. Now he's back. I don't know what kind of shackles he has on him, but he was at that point doing very good work. But I mean, FDA has to be completely overhauled. There needs to be a complete review of everything that was approved the last 30 or 40 years, and that's not going to be done. Commissioner McCary is a very nice guy, but he is not going to really get to the bottom of the rot at FDA, and that is absolutely needed, almost more than anything. So we have a real personnel problem. Stephanie Spear, working with Matt Buckham, is basically sequestered Kennedy. He doesn't speak with anyone. He's kept in his own silo, and so information can be kept from him, so the truth can be kept from him. This was the exact same problem he had during the campaign. I believe he's being managed. I believe he knows it, and that's why he couldn't call me. He couldn't call Dr. Hatfield because he has nothing to say because he's humiliated by it. He knows that it was the wrong decision, but he basically was told that he had to, and so he had no choice. So we need to somehow figure out how to break Secretary Kennedy free from this chokehold.
All right. Well, I guess I was going to ask Dr. Hatfield something, but he.
Okay.
Well, so there you are.
Hi.
All right, Dr. Hatfield, it's your turn. Will you kind of give us an overview of the final, like what led up to all this? Well, actually, before you do that, so I want to talk about your onboarding. Who hired you, and were there limits on what you could say, or was it, were you blindsided by this?
Yeah, there were a number of us talking to each other. One chap that should have been really FDA commissioner. And again, Dr. McCary, he's a very nice man. He's a kind man. But you needed a street fighter put in there if you're going to make anything. And we're watching this. This is very early on when they're still interviewing at Mar-a-Lago. And the right people weren't getting called up. Poor Harvey Risch was waiting to take over as director of the National Cancer Institute. My understanding was he was going to start reviewing all the chemotherapy drug trials and getting rid of these drugs that, you get to live 3 months longer in misery. And he would have saved millions and millions of dollars. He's one of the treasures of the United States, is Harvey Risch. So that was one thing, and they just ignored him and said, we want you for National Cancer Center, and but he never did get an interview, and they picked some guy, an oncologist with big pharma connections. So something was odd from the very, very beginning. And then Matt Buckham originally was White House liaison from HHS to the personnel people, Sergio Gore and these folks. And again, the right people weren't being called in. Mr. Kennedy would occasionally get somebody in that he wanted. But when they were there, they were sort of marginalized. They were sort of blocked. So I was sort of left out, and Peter Navarro hit the roof, and I think he went over and raised hell. So I got an interview, and it was with Matt Buckham and his assistant. Was it Boothby? Nice guy. And so we sat down. It was a nice, smooth interview. And they told me, and I was saying, look, I'm here to help and defend Mr. Kennedy's policies. I believe in him. I can help him with the science. And that's my goal. And if I don't like what he's doing, I'm the one that'll leave. Yeah. You're hired as a political, you're hired to support the boss. So my goal was to get a joint task force going combined with some of the country's top scientists that had proven that they can't be corrupted, combined with a special prosecutor and Department of Justice, there's enough evidence now for some of these companies for RICO charges, and the medical journals were lying. Everybody was lying to cover up 2 safe and effective drugs to make room on purpose for these vaccines, which have now killed hundreds of thousands or crippled, I guess. I mean, young women have had their legs cut off for 3-foot-long blood clots. The list just keeps growing larger and larger, and now we're into the cancers. If you've had 3 shots of an mRNA vaccine, there's a 46% increased chance of cancer for some cancers. And we're seeing it. And when we look at the tumors, we find the spike protein of the COVID virus inside the tumor. So these shots are what we call carcinogenic. They can cause cancer. Even worse, some of these fragments are integrating into the recipient's own DNA. Small fragments, but it's creating proteins that the body's never seen before, and putting the whole immune system in a constant state of circulation. This myth of giving it to the immunocompromised children is just complete and utter nonsense. We have effective drug treatments, 2 of them. You can give ivermectin to kids if you need to. It's on a body weight basis. So this is all rubbish. It's a smokescreen. It's gaslighting. Everybody stuck their necks out to get rid of these vaccines. And virtually overnight, there's the spike vax being sold. Anyway, so Matt Buckham's interviewing me. And I'm not pushing the task force thing. You know, I'm there to help Mr. Kennedy. And he says, well, we have a problem over at ASPR, which is the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response. And there's no secretary there still for ASPR, but the principal deputy secretary, Matt Buckham, didn't like him. And I said, well, you know, now I didn't want to go to ASPR, but that's all that was open. So you go in, yeah, I got through the interview, and then it was like a number of weeks later, you come in and you in process, and you sign all the paperwork. There's 100 forms to sign and fill out. And, you know, they're pretty complicated. Security clearances involved. And we jumped through all the hoops. And I got to meet the principal deputy secretary of ASPR. And he's a national hero, Mr. John Knox. He was on the ground at 9/11. There were no protective masks or equipment. He's an hazmat spec. He knew he was breathing in stuff as toxic as Drano, and he still did it. And Mr. Buckham wants to get rid of him. Well, he turned out to be, next to Peter Navarro, one of the finest bosses I've ever had. We were a good team, and it was built around teamwork. Within a few months, he came in and said, "You're now the chief medical officer." So Meryl Nass, I don't know if this shows. There, Meryl Nass, chief medical officer. Idiot woman. No, really.
All right.
So by
fired.
this time, the data had become so overwhelming of the vaccine harms. A recent paper just now, we now know that the kidney damage that you see early on is progressive. It just keeps going. until you have renal failure and need a transplant. Okay, the damage is a major, major public health catastrophe for this country. Our death rate is twice that of India, which has a 6 times greater population. And a lot of these now, it looks like it's from actually the vaccine killing people. So it had to be stopped. And we went to Mr. Kennedy and explained the data. And I'd never met him before. The guy's a real man. He's a tough guy. And he makes very quick decisions. If you convince him, like Pete Navarro, once you convince him that this is correct, then get out of the way. And he said, shut it down. And he looked at me and said, I want you on television. I don't like going on television, you know. But I want you on television. He looked at Stephanie Spear. I want him on all these programs. And I couldn't believe it. All we had power to do at this stage.
He gave you the green light.
Yeah. All we had power to do at this stage was shut down all the 22 messenger RNA programs, stop work orders at BARDA. I was also supervising BARDA in their direction as a political. So that's what we did. And Steve Bannon, I don't know how he finds out all this stuff, but like by the time I sort of got back to the office, anyway, so we're on Steve Bannon's show, and I've known him for a number of years, and we go round and round and fight a lot. But for once, he didn't interrupt, and I got on the program and explained to the American people why it was necessary to stop these shots. Some relatively new technology was coming into wide play use, which could take a snapshot of the biochemistry of a cell. And you could see before vaccination, after vaccination in human tissue. And it was creating unholy havoc. That's the only way to describe it. Tumor suppressor genes were being shut down, oncogenes activated, DNA repair mechanisms disturbed. And these changes were being methylated. In other words, they were making permanent which genes are on and which genes are off. And if not permanent, very long term. This couldn't be allowed anymore. And it was understood, I think, by all of us that the shills would be after us eventually. That's how business is done in Washington, D.C. But we were ready for it, and there was no choice. Morally, the shots had to be stopped. So they were stopped. And we all pretty much understood. We now had a due date for working at HHS. We had an expiry date. And they tolerated me. I went on the Bannon program. I got a phone call from Alaska from Senator Kennedy saying, what a great job. And Stephanie Spear, who didn't want me on the program, so duplicitous. Oh, Dr. Hadfield, that was so good. She tried to block me being on it. So that was good. And I went on Emerald's show the next day. My mandate was to get on everything. And boy, I get a phone call from Matt Buckham, who is now, I think, temporary chief of staff for Mr. Kennedy. He's controlled by Susie Wiles. All this leads back to one or two people running things.
Right.
Matt Buckham is not Mr. Kennedy's chief of staff. It's Susie Wild's deputy, if that makes any sense.
Well,
It
and
was all being
it looked like, yeah, Gray had or tweeted something about the announcement, and then Trump had said he was going to have a meeting. He was asked about it at a press conference, and he said, "Well, we're going to have a meeting about that." Am I right, Gray? And that might have been the final blow for you because you posted
it was
that?
basically because I wasn't controllable. So they wanted with that decision. I mean, this is one of the most controversial decision that's come out of HHS to date, which was cutting over $500 million in funding for mRNA technology. And so that necessitates a robust defense of that decision, including laying out the harms, the scientific studies that we relied on to make that decision. Dr. Hatfield had all of that. You don't just send out one tweet, one of the secretaries in Alaska, and call it a day. It's not how it works. So secretaries in Alaska, the announcement's made, and there's no plan. There's no fact sheet. There's no one plan to go on media, even though you have CNBC, you have everyone talking. I mean, Washington's run by money, obviously. That's how the way the world's run. So this is a huge amount of money at stake. And lobbyists also are, this is where their bread and butter is. So we knew the network. We had mapped out the network that was calling Trump and that was advocating, like I named them earlier, Priebus and Santorum and La Savita and Loomer. And we were sure they were going to be ramping up the same sort of lobbying campaign. And so we had to take it upon ourselves to do our own defense. And I went through the proper channels. I went to Rich Danker, the Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs, to draft a fact sheet. I sent it to Dr. Hatfield for review. I went on the MAGA action call because that was my job. Not everything I did was completely, it wasn't me going completely rogue. It's the problem is Stephanie wants to control everything, but the whole point of that whole thing was not to have a robust defense. I believe I contacted you that evening. When I put out that tweet, she tried to say I divided Trump and Kennedy. No, I didn't. I didn't divide them. All I did was put out that Trump said this and that we needed to rally and unify our base to support the Secretary's courageous decision and tell Trump to hold the line. Because of course, I'm not naive. Of course he's getting calls in the pharmaceutical industry, and we have to flex our muscle as a base by the millions. And we did. We did. You helped that night, and others, everyone did. Even people that have been very, very negative. And the decision has yet to be made.
We lost our momentum. We had a chance here to put these people on the ropes, to get all the evidence out there. For a couple weeks, we could have been on the press. I sent over numerous requests from people to be in the media, and she turned down every one of them, and it died itself through lack of water. And this was intentional.
So she had to approve Stephanie Spears has to approve any media appearance?
Everything. Approve every tweet.
I think that
every tweet. Every media appearance. Every single thing. Every travel, everything on the schedule. Everything.
I'm in a chain of command, which I respected, and I did. I stayed off the media. I would send things. No. Although they were correct things to do. So this woman is destroying Mr. Kennedy. And I think the goal from the very beginning, because this was very early, I think ultimately behind it is Susie Wiles. Unfortunately, she's President Trump's chief of staff. They didn't want the status quo changed. And they've jumped into bed with Big Pharma. Americans are being shined on. There's not going to be any criminal prosecutions of Fauci and these other people. There's not going to be any RICOs. You're not going to break Pfizer up. In fact, the president was shaking hands with the head of Pfizer the other day and announcing that he'd had a messenger RNA COVID vaccine. One, that he didn't need. Two, isn't for the strain that's circulating now. And poor Mr. Kennedy's in the background looking like the emperor with no clothes. This is outrageous.
Do you think Kennedy made a deal? Do you think Kennedy made a deal though, like that we don't know about?
No, he's a strong man. I think he got shoved out of the way, or they've got something on him. That
Yeah,
when things.
Yeah, my perspective is there's some.
And then did you, Dr. Hatfield?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Dr. Hatfield, real quick, did you talk to Kennedy since this happened, since you were fired?
He's never phoned me. We've had no contact. Just before I was fired, I was going after the DNA nonsense, the interfering DNAs. They want to use these experimental gene therapies with interfering RNAs on DNA backbones to treat influenza. A drug that we have well, we've got 5 drugs now to treat bird flu. But no, so this needed to be shut down. It was called J4. And I'd written, as usual, 9 or 10 page summary of why it needed to be done and all the references and everything. And we had the furloughs. We were coming into work every day, but, it was all chiefs and no Indians. Couldn't get anything done. So I decided to take leave, get my annual physical, see my girlfriend, this type of stuff. And so I went down to Florida. Or, sorry. What? I went down for my physical because that's where not my girlfriend, my doctors. Oh, boy. So anyway, this is going on. Get my physical. And the meeting we were supposed to have with Kennedy on the 4J got canceled due to his scheduling. And it occurred while I wasn't there. So they had the head of BARDA come in and sort of give my portion of the briefing. It outlined that I was going to go after the DNA things now. And 4 days later, I come out of getting an exam, and the phone rang, and it was Matt Buckham. He says, can we have a conference call? I said, well, not today. I'm in the middle of doctor's appointments, but it was a Friday. He says, on Saturday. I said, yeah, phone Saturday. So I get a phone call Saturday. And he says, well, there's a paper floating around on improved disease surveillance. And I said, yeah, I know, I wrote it. I'd sent it over to DARPA, to get them thinking about the same thing. Yeah, okay, well, no, that's fine. And now here's the not so good news. The secretary wants your resignation. I said, what? Yes, he wants your resignation. Well, this smells to high heaven. So I don't know what's happened, but I've done nothing wrong. The deputy secretary made me chief medical officer for Asper. I was communicating, cooperating, and having joint programs with the chief of staff for the Public Health Corps. We were starting to work on a cell phone radio frequency project to have done with using this new sensitive, take a snapshot of the cell. I was working with the Medical Reserve Corps to improve their training, a variety of civilian local authorities, trying to work with a unified hospital coalitions. We were working with multiple things. Oh no, well, so somebody leaked. Well, Dr. Hatfield was said he was chief medical officer, and he's not. And, he wasn't effective at working within HHS or other agencies. My God, I was helping BARDA. I was on 2 PECs at the White House. It was all nonsense.
But do you see the real reason, Dr. Bowden?
Well, I heard.
See what Dr. Hatfield's working on? It's what he was working on. It was the chloroquine drug. It was the chloroquine drug that would have been very effective against a wide range, very inexpensive. So that challenges the pharmaceutical industry. It was investigating the effects of DNA on the DNA. And we know that the COVID vaccine is reverse transcribing DNA. It was all of these things that were the threat. And notice how he was supposed to be in there for that meeting. And then all of a sudden, he's let go. So that's the real reason. Bar none, Merrill Nass, Robert Malone, they're all muddying the waters, character assassinations. Sift through the noise and ask why they aren't. Merrill Nass isn't working at HHS. Why are all these people? No, it's because of what he was working on and what he had accomplished, which was the threat. Bar none.
You weren't supposed to do anything effective there.
Yeah. I heard somebody else's version of the story, which I'm not going to discuss, but it actually matched your version. There was a meeting involved, and it just sounded to me like this is BS. It doesn't really sound like something worth firing, a disagreement during a meeting. So yeah, it just seemed like
with her
higher, larger agenda.
Yeah, I told her she didn't have a clue what she was talking about. She didn't. But she doesn't work at HHS.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
So
I'm confused at her.
Oh, listen. Well, the lawyer.
Is she just a consultant?
I have no idea. She's like his friend. The lawyers will get to the bottom of this.
No, okay? she's just fighting.
I still haven't been told why I was fired. I've not had a phone call.
Yeah.
I've not had an official message. All I had was Matt Buckham on the end of the phone. So
Dr. Hatfield, what they're trying to plant, and if you hear, people are just at this Children's Health Defense Conference in Austin, and I heard he was fired because he was working on things that were outside the scope, and the secretary was concerned with. No. He was working on things that the pharmaceutical industry was concerned with. So, but
I kept everyone informed of what I was doing, and I ran everything through the proper channels.
We have to take we're going to take a break real quick, and I have more questions, but we have to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back.
Wow. I'm watching the live chat on the SJ network. I'm watching the comments on Twitter right now. This is a bombshell interview. This is explosive. And I want to thank Dr. Mary Taylor Bowden and Gray and Dr. Hatfield for their candor. Wow. Want to thank our sponsors of On Call with Dr. Mary Taylor Bowden over at the Wellness Company. What if medicine? Think about this. The medicine that helped save millions during the pandemic was being made mostly in China. This is true. About 58% of the world's ivermectin supply comes from China, and 75% comes from Asia overall, but not the wellness companies. Introducing American-made ivermectin, safe, trusted, and produced right here in the United States of America. Ivermectin, as you all know, has been prescribed globally for more than 30 years. It has even earned the Nobel Prize in Medicine for its proven ability to eliminate parasites and support overall health. Now research is pointing to potential benefits in so many other areas: skin, the immune system, and even cancer support. Most pharmacies charge about $5 a tablet for ivermectin, but the wellness company is offering a higher 18 milligram dose for just over $3 per tablet. You'll get a 6-month supply designed for 4 21-day cleanse cycles, all at an unbeatable price. You can support American-made medicine, not China's supply chain, and you can do that right now by going to twc.health/Mary. That is twc.health/Mary. Stock up now with this amazing discount. Use her promo code MARY, and you will save $30 off this already amazing deal, plus free shipping. That's twc.health/Mary, and use that promo code Mary to save $30. Of course, free shipping as well. Let's get back to On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. She is live right now and continuing this pretty unbelievable interview. Can't wait to watch the rest. Keep it tuned right here.
We're back. And joined today with Stephen Hatfield, Dr. Stephen Hatfield, who is a biosecurity expert. He's had a long career in this field and just shockingly fired from HHS recently. Appears there was a larger agenda based on the facts surrounding his sudden departure don't really make sense. But yeah, I want to talk about a little bit sort of the inside of other issues regarding the pandemic. And one question I have that I'm hoping you can answer is, why did they get rid of monoclonal antibodies? And why the big focus on a vaccine that doesn't work? Do you have any on that?
The monoclonal antibodies are easy. We were dealing with a rapidly mutating RNA virus. So you got two types of viruses. You got some made out of DNA, and you have some made out of RNA. COVID-19 and influenza are RNA viruses. And one of their characteristics, and one of the ways they survive, is that when they replicate and make daughter viruses, they make tiny little random errors, mutations, when they copy their genetic material. So you may have COVID-19, but if we pull that virus out of you and sequence it all and start looking at it, you've got a whole bunch of minor variants. Still COVID-19 virus, but they all have little different things. And in that, they're called quasi-species. It has a name. It's still COVID-19 virus, but it's a quasi-species. So it's in a person, or maybe it's jumped into an animal, or jumped from an animal into a person, an RNA virus, from a bird to humans. If any of that whole, we're talking millions of viral particles, if somewhere in there one of those mutations gives one of those viral particles a little bit of a survival advantage, maybe it replicates quicker than the other viral particles. Maybe it's more stable in an aerosol than the other viral particles. Maybe it's more resistant to humidity. That starts to become the dominant quasi-species. And with time, this is what occurs. This is also why a virus, especially ones that jump from animals into man, may be tremendously lethal for the first infection cycles, but then gradually attenuate. And because there's a better balance, because a virus that kills its host quickly isn't going to get propagated as well as one that takes a long time to kill its host. This is how HIV spread over the world. It very slowly killed people, but very effectively spread. So this is the same. And this COVID-19 virus was mutating every 2 weeks. So by the time you've got your monoclonal antibodies and you're injecting them into people, and they work great, but only for about a month.
Yeah. No.
And now the virus has adapted away from it, and the antibodies don't recognize it.
I will just say clinically, they worked wonders. And I don't know. I thought it was like people turned around so quickly, and then they were adjusting them. So they were, with each new strain, they were getting new ones out.
Well, they were trying to.
Granted, I pivoted to. Yeah, I mean, I pivoted to ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, and those ended up working well. But it just shocked me that, because it wasn't controversial, the monoclonal antibodies, and then they just, magically they disappeared as soon as they mandated the COVID shots, which the timing, in my opinion, was not an accident. But no one ever talks about the monoclonal antibodies. So.
You had these two highly expensive drugs, Paxlovid and Molnupiravir, because now Fauci was pushing, oh no, we need oral medications that we can take early to treat these infections. This is what he blocked with hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. But now the fact that these are in patent, very expensive drugs, oh, now we need them. This is the duplicity of this idiot. I mean, it is criminal negligence. You cannot vaccinate your way out of a rapidly mutating RNA virus. When that spike, I phoned that Prasad guy at FDA. When I saw this spikebacks coming out, and I asked him, "Is this the current strain?" Because I knew it wasn't. That vaccine was outdated when it came out. I don't know if it's not my field. I don't know if there was cross-reactivity, but the shot that the president just got probably isn't the one that's going to be circulating a month from now. You never get in front of it. And the countries that used ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine for early outpatient treatment, you feel bad. You go see your doctor. Your doctor gives you some tablets. You go home, you don't kiss anyone, you take your tablets, you're sick for 4 days or so, and you're not infective, you go back to work, and you don't have to go to hospital or be on a ventilator. That's how it's supposed to work, and that's how you control pandemic spread. In-hospital treatments don't control anything. They don't stop a pandemic. They treat if they work, remdesivir never worked. It was killing people itself. But nobody knows this because you cannot get the information out. And books have been written on it, but they're kind of complicated to read. It's much easier to watch NFL on TV and don't worry about it. Asper was put in as the watchdog for all Americans, because it's not just pandemics, it's responsible for all the nasty things that can happen. Hurricanes, wildfire, tornadoes. It's a sheepdog on watching over the flock. Mm-hmm. And well, thank God they got John Knox there. I can't be a part of it now. But it was
Gray. What do you think about this? Gray, what do you think about this summit today, the MAGA summit?
I'm told that it's funded by Eli Lilly and Palantir, which would explain J.D. Vance's appearance. And basically, there's a new MAGA is being transitioned into the family owns the trademark for MAGA. So they're creating, what I'm told is they're creating something called MAGA Holdings that has MAGA Action, MAGA Institute, everything underneath MAGA Holdings. And that this is basically a coup to take control of MAGA. So I'm very, very worried about the direction that our brand and our movement could be forever stained, the reputation of it, and then demoralized. The enemy uses demoralizing tactics to slow you down or to kill a movement. And I think this has been going on for a very long time with Stephanie and with others around RFK. And now we're seeing what's happening today. I'm not there, but I'm told it's a lot of industry. It's a lot about wearables and devices and AI and all that. So instead of about what the agenda really was the foundational aspect of the agenda was make America healthy again, which what does that mean? That means safe and effective vaccines. It means therapeutics. It means eating whole, dense, nutrient-rich food. It means free of pesticides. That's MAHA. MAHA is not MAHA anymore. And what I've heard, I'm not there, but what I've heard of what's happened today is not the MAHA that we signed up for. So Dr. Halfel and I are here ringing the alarm bells saying things are seriously off. Things are off with Trump. I think everyone's talking about that for weeks now. And the latest is the H1-B announcement that's got a lot of the base upset. But it's not just that. It's saying that there's not an affordability. And most people are really, really struggling out there. And the cost of housing. None of these major structural issues are being addressed. So I don't know what's wrong, but there's seriously something wrong. There's bad advisors around RFK, maybe bad advisors around Trump. But Trump doesn't seem to be the same person that he was in his first term right now. And RFK is not in charge of HHS right now. So how do we free our RFK? It starts with firing Matt Buckham and Stephanie Spear, and then we can go from there. But let's start there, and let's also demand a reason for Dr. Hatfield's firing, not these rumors where you get a text from somebody or someone that goes around with innuendo at the Children's Health Defense Conference. He deserves a reason. He went to the mat and put his reputation on the line for the secretary, and he deserves an answer, a call from the secretary, and a public statement, and all the supporters of the agenda deserve a statement, because now there's one less person, and I'm almost out there, and I'm not to the level Hatfield was, but there's two less people fighting for secretary's agenda, and I don't know who's picking up the baton from us.
Well said. What about Callie Means? Because I don't know, you probably know my feelings. I feel like he parachuted into the movement and hijacked. We had Kennedy was our nuclear bomb and Big Pharma was our target, and all of a sudden the target shifted to food. And I attribute that shift to Callie Means, who just rose to fame exponentially, and then all of a sudden is orchestrating the Kennedy to drop out of the race and join Trump. Have you interacted with him? Do you agree, or what are your thoughts on that?
I get along well with Callie. We all saw your podcast with Dr. Cruz, and everyone needs to go watch that. That's very captivating television. But I don't know. They're definitely he is not aligned with we are on the vaccine issue and others. I think there are so many psyops being run right now. I don't know if he's a part of the big picture one. I think that he might be part of something. I didn't see him blocking. I actually saw him helping with some of the major, on the food issue, because it's the vaccine issue is one thing, and mRNA technology, but on the food side, we have a complete crisis in our farming and just completely poisoned food supply, and that wasn't being addressed because of the USDA and some nefarious forces at HHS as well. That's neither here nor there. But as far as Callie is concerned, he's a drop in the bucket compared to Stephanie and Buckham, in my opinion. And let's not forget that it was Stephanie. What I've been told is that Stephanie did not want Trump to endorse. RFK to endorse Trump, that she wanted him to run in the libertarian ticket, which would have ruined his political career. He would have been a laughing stock. And so the only way that he had any relevance was to join with Trump. Now, I don't know if you remember that video that was filmed, that was released the day before the convention in the hotel room when Kennedy's like this, and Bobby III released it. Well, that was suspicious, and that was meant to divide Trump and Kennedy. And because there was a deal being worked out for Kennedy to be Attorney General. which was the most important position in all of the government, is Attorney General. We're not getting any prosecutions because Pam Bondi's at DOJ. And so if RFK could have been at DOJ, it would have been a game changer. Now, that was scuttled apparently because of that call that was released, and that the people around Trump said you can't trust Kennedy now. So then they scrambled, and now he's at HHS. But let's not forget, so if Callie was meant to bring him together, I think that was smart. Callie's got his own agenda. It's not entirely my agenda, but I did get along with him. But yes, there's a lot of nefarious forces around RFK, and I just don't. Where are all his heart? Where are Leslie Manookian? Where is Dr. Cole? Where are the people that have been blood, sweat, and tears with the secretary for 15, 20, 25 years? Why is Dr. Hatfield not around him? I mean, my main point to him for years, back to December or November, was you need a political warfare team around you to analyze all these lines of effort, to map out the opposition, to figure out how the leverage they're using against you, what kind of leverage can we use against them? That's how politics works. But he's not doing any of it. So he's being taken out like a piñata and just beat around day in and day out because he has no one defending him. So it's a crisis, in my opinion. And Maha is on life support right now.
Do you think he was part of hiring Makari and Oz and, I mean, those and Prasad and
I can tell you what the personnel process. You asked us to lead off this interview about how Dr. Hatfield and I got in. The personnel process. Dr. James Lyons Weiler, very smart PhD, one of the foremost experts on neurotoxicity and especially the effect of heavy metals and aluminum and relating that to autism. He was running his own kind of shadow personnel vetting process back in November, December, but he was doing completely outside of Mar-a-Lago and of Susie Wiles and everyone at Mar-a-Lago. I said, Dr. Weil, are you communicating with the team at Mar-a-Lago? Because I think they're the ones that are making the calls here on personnel at HHS, including McCary and everyone else. And he wasn't. He just said, oh, no, trust the plan. It's going to be. And of course, I don't think anyone. He interviewed 150 plus people, and I'm sure you know people that got a call from him back in November, December. None of those people have been hired. So he was trying to run a little defensive spear online. It was pretty muted. And then, did you get a call from him?
That, yeah.
Yeah. So whatever happened to those?
Well, I had to take some sort of. Well, I took a personality test, which I'm really upset about because I don't know who has those results. And no one seems to know where they went. And I got a call from somebody, and I can't even remember who it was now. But yeah, it was a dead end. I wanted to. We're bringing in Shannon Joy because during the break, she texted me saying that she had a head-to-head altercation with Stephanie Spear where there was some screaming involved. So I was going to have her tell that story. I'd never heard this before.
Well, I've never told this.
I'm working my book right now because I can't believe how many whistleblowers have come forward. It's like a battered Stephanie Spear syndrome that everyone has. So it's unbelievable. Nobody got along with her. But go ahead, Shannon.
Listen, first and foremost, yeah, congratulations, Mary and Dr. Hatfield and Gray. I haven't heard this much candor in an interview about what goes on in Washington, D.C. in a very, very long time. I really appreciate very brave and courageous, everything that all of you guys are doing. So I just want to say that off the bat. I almost fell out of my chair when you began talking and I heard the name Stephanie Spear come up, and then it came up again, and then it came up again, because I had not only one, but two incidents with Stephanie Spear, interestingly enough, in 2023 in Boston, Massachusetts, at Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s announcement of his run for the presidency. And so this was early on. If people are wondering if Stephanie Spear was running control and handling RFK Jr. after that time, I think it might have gone back way further than that. I was early in the medical freedom movement, a new broadcaster. And this was my very first live broadcast. I was working with the Died Suddenly producers, Ed Zoll, who's one of my producers now. We were on location live in Boston. We were going to do a full live presentation. I interviewed Dr. Robert Malone. I interviewed Jeffrey Tucker. I interviewed some of the biggest names in the medical freedom movement at the time. And the night before the live event, we were running a promo. I went in with my production team into the empty arena. We were actually directed to that arena by some of the high wire producers saying, hey, go in and shoot your promo videos so that we can promote tomorrow's announcement. It's going to be a big deal. We had, connections because we were there on press, and we went in and we began shooting the promo video for the next day. And from across the arena, screaming, what are you doing in here? What's going on in here? Get over right now. And I'm mortified because this is my first time. I'm green. I go over and I'm like, I am so sorry. We were directed here to run promos by some of the other production people, and I'm Shannon Joy, and here are my credentials, and I hope that we didn't offend at all. And she goes, I've heard of you. Everyone loves Shannon Joy, or something like that. It was something kind of mean and dismissive. And I'm like, who is this woman? She had a baseball cap on. Like, what is happening? And Ed Zoll can vouch for me because he was there. He got yelled at as well. I was mortified, absolutely mortified, worried that I had burned bridges, but we kind of just moved on. We left and went on with our planning for the next day. The next day we had the live event, and we went to set up. The entire media press was there, NBC, ABC, Reuters, you name it. They were all lined up in the back, a lot of independent media. And we were setting up our cameras and the lighting, ready to do our interviews. And we had this beautiful prime location to set up with a great view that actually Del Bigtree said, hey, you guys should set up right here. This is a perfect spot, and welcome. We're so glad you're here. So we're getting ready. And we were there for 2 hours before the announcement. She came in, she came out. I saw her. Like, everyone knew where we were setting up in press. Everyone was set up around us. And right before the live event, she came over. We were about 5 minutes from starting the broadcast, and she came over screaming again. I get out of here right now. In fact, we have video of it. She wasn't screaming in this video, but we actually have video of when she kicked us out. We had to take down our whole operation. She basically ruined the live broadcast. I mean, we had to pull everything. I didn't know if she knew who I was or where she got my name, but at the time I'm like, this woman just hates me.
What was her reason for kicking you out?
There wasn't enough room for other cameras. Everyone was set up. We had been there for 2 hours. Like, everyone was set up, and ours was the only operation that she pulled out and shut down. And so I was so green then, I had no idea why. But now, hearing what you guys are saying, subsequently after that, I was completely stiff-armed. I mean, I'm pretty sure she was the one that blocked me from ever having an interview with Bobby Kennedy Jr. I reached out through the proper the proper channels multiple times. I know everyone that Bobby Kennedy knows. Like, everyone would ask me, why aren't you interviewing Bobby Kennedy? I know all of his friends, all of his associates. And now, hearing what you guys said, I'll shut up after this because I've never told this story, but it all clicked into me as you guys, and I would corroborate with you. I mean, I think that she has an enormous amount of power, and that she has been around and controlling things around Bobby Kennedy for way longer than many of us even imagine. And you guys just broke something huge here. I think she's very similar. I would liken her to the Susie Wiles to President Trump. Stephanie Spear certainly controls everything that Bobby Kennedy sees, everything that he does, everything that is pushed out through him in his channel. And I think it's a huge problem. So I just thanks for giving me the platform, Mary. I appreciate it. But I will corroborate everything that you guys have said here.
Right, I wrote a piece on that on Emerald Robinson's Substack about who's calling the shots at HHS, and went into great detail about Stephanie. So I'd encourage everyone to check that out. And she hasn't. Back when I was originally fired, she did have the secretary defend. She went and had him defend her publicly on his X account. She hasn't done it this time, but I know that everyone in MAGA is aware of the problem. And it goes back to the campaign. I mean, I can tell you multiple times, which we know for a fact she set him up to fail. If you remember the Iowa abortion question at the Iowa State Fair, that was a disaster. That was set up by Stephanie. He wasn't properly briefed on that. If you recall when he got in trouble in New York for when he's saying that COVID was specifically engineered to or so the Jews were not susceptible to it. That was all set up by Stephanie. So, I mean,
the Tylenol thing should have, nobody could get into, I wrote the Tylenol paper that served as the background for that statement. I went through the literature. We showed all the different sides of the evidence. It was a good paper. There are links to autism, but it's only one of many factors. The most important are the vaccines linking it to autism. Mr. Kennedy, Secretary Kennedy needed to mention that. It's not, there's about 30 drugs that are associated with autism. It's like, that's why there's a spectrum. If you combine all these different things, vaccines and different drugs, and nitrous oxide by midwives giving it during delivery, you get one. You can get an extreme effect. Each of these things by themselves, it's synergistic. The more of these factors you have, there's a genetic component as well. Often, the more these things come together, the stronger is the effect. From profound autism to mild to other types of behavioral disorders. And this is what he needed to say. We have midwives in the United States because there's not enough OBGYNs. And these are nurses. And they had Tylenol out like candy. They're allowed to use nitrous oxide in delivery. That should not be allowed. But they do it. How much? We don't know. But we know it's changing the child's methylation patterns of his DNA.
And because we so botched the mRNA announcement and had no momentum from it, they had to play it safe on the Tylenol. Then they didn't even justify the Tylenol properly. Then RFK then had to go out and backtrack on that, which was an embarrassment. And now everybody's confused. They didn't talk about the aluminum and the vaccines and the yeah. So go ahead, but it's really
my theory. We have to wrap up. One last point, and I want to get your thought on it. Is my theory is that he is backing off from the largest public health crisis of our generation, from the elephant in the room, from a product that under any other circumstances would have been pulled off the market a long time ago. He is backing off of that because he's got other agendas that he has placed at higher importance, most likely autism. So he wants to get the autism situation fixed, and he's going to sacrifice mRNA because he's worried that if he goes after mRNA, he loses his job. What do y'all think? Gray, you start, and then Dr. Hatfield, you end.
No, I don't think any of it's going to be properly addressed because he hasn't built the political case for it. He doesn't have the people there to explain it, and he's being managed and handled. And the true causes of autism aren't even going to come out either, because that requires going after the vaccine issue and the 30 different drugs that are immense profit takers for the pharmaceutical companies that Dr. Hatfield just referenced. So unless the people around RFK are replaced, then, and he has true MAGA people in those positions, we will not see of these issues. Actually, we will waste the most important opportunity of our lifetime. I don't know if we'll ever get that same opportunity again.
And President Trump will have wasted the opportunity.
Yep.
I'm sure he's not being told what's going on.
I feel like the autism thing is another carrot that they're dangling in front of Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s most ardent and long-term supporters. These are moms and dads and grandparents that he has worked with for 20 years. They're incredibly loyal to Bobby Kennedy Jr., and so they are trying to hold on to maintain his credibility with them. I know a lot of these people. It's tragic. I hate watching this, but I have a feeling that this is simply a carrot to keep them on the rope, to keep their support. for as long as they can. But I don't see anything happening with autism, sadly.
When I first got in, I thought there was going to be a plan. I said, look, trust the plan. Get down to Dr. Bowden. We get point A to point B to point C. There's got to be a plan on all these. You have to lay the groundwork first, and I understand that. You just can't go in guns blazing. But I can tell you there is no plan on any of this. Yeah. And ACIP, and yes, they've kind of right around the edges, they've nibbled a little bit, but that's as far as it's going to go. Like the ACIP committee, they moved the COVID vaccines from recommendation to informed consent. Good, great. They couldn't even get the courage to vote on the hepatitis B vaccine at the last meeting. This is not, I mean, with the damage that's being done by these products, nibbling around the edges is not going to get it done. And we have to move more quickly and with a plan. And in 2 years, 3 years, I mean, if the Democrats take the midterms, then everything's going to come to a screeching halt. And then we're going to look back at this and say, what did we actually accomplish? In fact, we'll probably have done more damage to our movement than we did help because of the backtracking that we've had to do. I mean, the backtracking that the Secretary did on the Tylenol was just, it was cringeworthy. And then, so in the last 3 weeks, we've got to go over it. Yeah.
Well, for both of y'all, I mean, what kind of impact is people like myself and Shannon screaming on X all the time about this? Are they listening to us, or is this just, we're just, you know?
But other Americans, this is the only outlet for information. This is our only outlet, programs like these, for us to actually get the science out to the people. You can't do it through mainstream media. You can't do it through the medical journals. They're subjugated. The drug companies have become so powerful, more money than some nations. And they're controlling things.
Yeah, I would say the collective pressure does help. They're extremely dismissive of you and others. They view you as flies, annoying flies that aren't even worth.
I experienced it firsthand.
They ignore any media requests from pretty much anyone alternative media. I think the New York Times and CNN are the ones they need to respond to. They point, Stephanie's favorite line is just send all of our supporters to Secretary's X feed and to his videos and the press releases. And that's all they get. So what a way to treat your people. So that's the attitude of and it's all coming down from Stephanie. This is the attitude. She is extremely dismissive. In my piece, I talk about how I was with Leslie Manookian on the road. I was with Dr. Cole and Mary Holland and others. And Stephanie had no relationship, especially with some of these longtime activists. I mean, I can form a friendship with you, Mary, in a few weeks because of I mean, that's just how I work. And because I care so deeply about these issues. And Dr. Hatfield, now we're very good friends. It doesn't take long. It's strange that she's not friends with any of these people that that have been fighting with the Secretary for 15 or 20 years. So she's not Maha. She's not a Maha. And the press tries to brand her the Maha loyalist. She is not a Maha loyalist. She
hates President Trump. I've got a list of a lot of her tweets that she scrubbed off the internet. I've got screenshots of these, and they're horrendous. She's hates
scary.
It.
She's scary.
She's given an interview to the United States of America Communist Party. There's a video out there of her interviewing with them.
That's not good.
Gray, do you know anything about her history? Like, where did she come from? Like, do you know anything about her history? I mean, she's been with
I've got to drop
Kennedy
for a second to get back to work, but
that was too fascinating.
You can read it. I mean, I know that she worked at this tiny left-wing publication called EcoWatch. She's just a radical environmentalist. And the story of how she initially attached herself to RFK Jr., I'm not exactly sure how. But RFK helped bail out the EcoWatch back in 2011 by lending his name and credibility to it. And then they were close ever since. But my opinion, she's an asset of somebody, maybe an intelligence asset. And you can't quite get into all that here, but it doesn't make sense. This is not just she's incompetent. and not very friendly. There's something much more sinister amiss here.
This is intentional.
Wow.
Yep.
Isn't JFK's daughter-in-law with intelligence? She's over at personnel, or was. She's over at personnel now.
Yes. Yes. I'm blanking on her name.
Amaryllis.
I forget her name.
Yeah.
Amaryllis. Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of shady characters. This has been enlightening. Thanks for letting me, cameo on your show, Dr. Ray. I'll let you go close out your show and say goodbye to your guests.
Yeah.
But
well, no. Yeah. Well, thanks. That was amazing. Thank y'all. I know we ran over, so I appreciate you staying on.
Thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and Gray, like I said, I don't know if you heard that earlier, but you reached out to me. You were the only contact I had with HHS, which was nice of you to do, because a lot of us have been fighting so long, so hard, so loudly, and we have been completely dismissed. So, and you were very measured, and I didn't agree with everything you texted me, and we got along and we worked it out, and it was great. So, I thought you were doing your job the way it should have been done. You were bringing me in and you were keeping me from going ballistic as ballistic because you were measured and I don't know, I thought you were doing a great job. So I'm sorry that this happened to both of you. And Dr. Hatfield, thank you for being so outspoken. Even when you're in that position, you did not back down, which is unusual. So I very much appreciate that. And I hope we can meet again soon, and hopefully with some better news at some point.
Yeah, it helps. Let's keep up the collective pressure, and let's free the secretary, because he is a good man. He knows his stuff. He's a true believer. I can tell you that from being with him. He is just right now. He is he's encumbered, and that's so we have to somehow find a way to free him from whatever's holding him back. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll keep the pressure going. All right, thank y'all, and please support the Wellness Company. If you are buying supplements, they are a great source, American made, and they sponsor the show and make it happen. And if you use code MARY, then you get 10% off. So thank y'all so much, and we will see you next week.